Hi, welcome back to the Euro-based podcast. We're here with episode 9. I'm Spencer. I'm hosting it today, and I've got a very exciting guest with me. He's Tobias Leißner. You may have seen him on LinkedIn. He has quite a big personal brand in the world of SAP. So, Tobias, if you don't mind us introducing yourself.
Hi, Spencer. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me to this show here.
No.
My name is Tobias. I'm 42 years old, and right now I'm Associate Director at Accenture, and I'm in the SAP business for a little bit over 17 years now. Started as a developer, and over the past 17 years had quite a big role in different projects. So, well, yeah, I'm here, and I'm happy to share some of my insights at least.
Of course. So I think a great place to start would be sort of when talking about your career. In terms of the start, I know you said you began your career as a developer. What really made you want to become a developer and really spark that interest for yourself?
Actually, that's a quite interesting question, as I was thinking about that quite long. And the career started for me at the age of 10. I was 10
No.
years old,
Wow.
and there I had a Commodore C64, and there I started programming with
Oh no.
BASIC.
Wow.
So I
At
have
10.
about a little bit over 30 years of experience in programming, and since then I had almost every programming language, markup language, whatever you call it. I'm interested in everything related to technology, so I'm a developer at heart, and that's the reason why I started as a developer in the SAP area. So I was a regular ABAP developer in a company, and later on it was senior developer and so on, then technical project lead, senior project lead, and so on, and later also division lead, up to now as associate director, and there leading streams of warehouse management and so on. So it was quite an interesting career. And
No,
it all
imagine.
started with a very old computer, a Commodore C64 and BASIC. That was the beginning.
Wow. And what really influenced that? Was that family, friends, you saw and were influenced by? What really started that interest for yourself?
I think it was my parents.
Mm.
They bought a Commodore C64 for playing games, but well, after some time, I got bored of playing games, so I developed my own programs, which
No,
was quite satisfying for me.
of course.
And yeah, that was quite happy. And the parents saw that I have a large talent in this area.
Hmm.
And of course, later on, I had other PCs and so on, just to empower me even more in this area.
Wow. No, it's amazing. An amazing start. I've spoke with a lot of developers, consultants, but I've never quite heard a start like that. So no, that's great, and really good to know. And so then, since then, you obviously got into development. What was sort of the change in your career from the development side to then going more hands off onto the functional side as such?
I think that was the natural way for my
Hmm.
career. As
Yeah.
I think it started as a regular developer, then you are a senior developer, then you are some kind of project lead for smaller parts of the
Hmm.
project. So it gets bigger from time to
Yeah.
time. And after some time, you are a project lead, and after some time, you are leading more projects at the same time, then you are leading people, and that's the natural way of life or
Hmm.
natural way
Of
of
course.
the career, and that's where I'm now.
No, of course, and really within your career, I know that on LinkedIn, obviously you've got quite a big personal brand, especially to do with AI. What really was the motivation behind that and building that out and posting regularly?
Actually, I wanted to learn how AI works. And a few years ago, I developed my own neural network as I wanted to learn how this works. So I tried to develop something that does some kind of forecast of the Bitcoin prices, whether it goes up and down. And what a surprise, 50% it was right. So it cannot be used at all. Great. But there I learned how LSTM, long short-term memory, and so on works. So I know how AI works, but that was not very useful at this time, at least. And now AI models are very powerful, especially the reasoning models, generative AI with images and so on. And that's the reason why I use it a lot in the meantime, and especially on LinkedIn. I think all my content is AI generated, even my profile picture.
Wow, because I remember first coming across your LinkedIn profile, and I remember your it was either your banner or your profile picture. It looked like you in a warehouse, and for the look, I've always thought that as a real picture. Was that AI?
Exactly, that was AI. So it's me in a warehouse, but this picture was not taken in a warehouse. It's AI generated.
Wow, I generally thought that was real. So no, wow. So yeah, really with that and going on to sort of within SAP, how do you feel AI is impacting SAP, especially in supply chain?
I think right now it's mostly, as I'm in logistics operations or in warehousing, for me, it's some kind of autonomous supply chain.
Yeah.
So I think it goes into the direction of dark factories. Have you heard this term before? Dark factories
No.
that are
No,
buildings without any indoor lighting. So that
Okay.
means inside they are dark.
Yeah.
And that means you have robots, production, and so on that work without indoor lighting. So they use all the sensors and so on without lighting, and that means no human at all. So if something happens, of course, you turn on the light and you walk there and check for errors. But beside that, everything is dark. That are dark factories. And that's one of the big topics, or will be one of the big topics in the future, also for the supply chain and especially for warehousing as well.
Wow.
And I'm quite eager to see one of those projects live.
No, 100%, 100%. It sounds very intriguing, and sort of how that would work, being completely AI, completely robotic as such, just working away. And how do you think that'll affect not only the supply chain and warehousing, but obviously the knock-on effect into products and things like that? How do you see that affecting?
I think for products, there will be more products that will be used in warehousing. I remember one solution that uses image recognition for loading and unloading trucks. Right now, you do this manually. You scan the pallets, you scan some barcodes, QR codes, whatever to do the loading. But for this solution, it was detecting the pallets, and you just have to move it to the truck, and the AI detects which pallet you are using, and then it does all the bookings in the system in the background. So easy. That was
So
quite
advanced,
impressive.
but even a thing like that, where it's with pallets and counting pallets, the amount of time that can save, obviously it has to be done right, and there has to be a way to sort of police it and make sure that they are counting the right pallets, as especially with your sort of big deliveries, big containers. There's a lot to count. So I think it definitely. So I think with that's where it becomes extremely useful, when all you've got to do really is take a picture, and you know what you've got, and hopefully not, but what might be missing. So no, that's wow, that's great, and that's being worked on now, right?
In development now, right now there are multiple projects. I mean,
Yeah.
I see a lot of digital twins out there that
Mhm.
use AI to improve the operations,
Mhm.
especially in warehousing and production. So there are projects together with NVIDIA, for example,
Yeah.
which use all the processing power of the NVIDIA compute to
Mhm.
run simulations and so on. But it's not only simulation, it's also using AI to improve the processes.
Yeah.
And that's happening right now
Wow.
already. So we will see the first implementation, I think within the next few years.
Oh wow. Exciting times. Really exciting times within warehousing and within AI. So it's better to get on the trend early then, I guess, and become sort of the go-to
Sure.
guy when it comes to them projects. So no, that's great. And so really going sort of on back to your personal brand and where it was with AI and everything. What kind of content is it that you post that sort of resonates most with your audience? What is it you try to post to kind of get the grip on your audience as such?
I think I have two main topics
Mhm.
that I
Yeah.
post about.
Hmm.
That's consulting, of course,
Of course.
together with warehousing and so on. Then technology in general, and one of my biggest topic is leadership.
Hmm.
So most of the time I talk about how you can bring your junior consultants to the clients and so
Hmm.
on,
Yeah.
how consulting can be approved or should be approached,
Hmm.
or how you can use technology in a way that you never thought about.
Of course.
And not only um, writing a text about it, but also present it in a way that is approachable, sometimes funny, with
Of course.
pictures or short
Yeah.
clips, which are, of course, AI generated.
Yeah.
So I try to make complex topics easy to understand and easy to read. That's my goal, and that
Hmm.
works quite well right now.
No, of course, and especially I've seen a lot on LinkedIn when talking about the leadership piece with a picture of you and then a little sort of kid version of yourself when it's talking about bring your juniors to
Exactly.
work,
The mini me.
the mini you, and it really engages and it's really something where you see it, you instantly want to read sort of what it's about and everything. So you do a great job with that. And obviously, leadership's a massive thing for yourself, and not only within SAP, within any industry you're working in, any company, whatever you're doing, even outside of work, leadership's a huge thing. What sort of is your stance on leadership and what you think makes a good leader?
Mm, most people think leadership is leading people. So you go
Hmm.
forward
Hmm.
and you say, hey, everyone else, please follow me. I think that's not the case.
Hmm.
For me, leadership is empowering other people.
Yeah,
And empowering other people does not mean I work on other people's weaknesses.
of course.
That's also one of my
Yeah.
most important topics. For example, working on your weaknesses makes you average, but working on your talents will make you extraordinary good. And
Hmm.
that's the reason why I want to make people learn how to find their own talents, how to empower and improve their own talents, but also be aware that they have blind spots and find someone else to cover their blind spots. And that's one of my main topics in leadership.
Wow, it's definitely a different way. I've heard like from a lot of leaders I may have had in the past. I've spoke to people that have in the past. A lot of the time you hear that, yeah, you're good at this. How can we get this up to scratch as well to make you great? But from what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. Is especially when you're in sort of a team, um, building up on sort of your strengths because you always have someone else that has different strengths to yourself. And that's what makes a team. If everyone is sort of the same level at everything, the team wouldn't be very successful as it'll be a team of individuals. But I think that's when your teams come alive as such and they're the best when you've got different groups of people with their personality types, skill types coming together. So what was it that really started that for you and that that philosophy as such as working on people's talents? Was that maybe a leader you had in the past, someone you looked up to? Where did that come from?
I didn't know that, but my parents empowered me a lot, especially with all my talents. And I'm very good at logical thinking and all the stuff that is needed for an IT professional. And they empowered this talent. And a lot of years later, I found someone else and he told me exactly this lesson, that when you're working on your weaknesses, you become average, and you don't want to be average. You want to become extraordinary, and therefore you have to work on your talents. And that's one of the reasons why this is my main topic. So also be sure to judge people by their talents and not by their blind spots, because nobody is good at their blind spots. That doesn't work. So please judge people by their talents.
Of course, and not everyone's great at everything. So it's really finding their talents. And how do you go about finding talents, especially in your team now when bringing on junior staff? What is it you look for people to showcase their talents? Maybe if that's in interviews, when calling people, what is it that you really ask and look for to find that?
Personally, I look for motivated people. I mean, if you have someone who is perfect and knows everything, but is not motivated at all, then it doesn't make any sense to have this person in your team. So I need motivated people. And the other topic I look for, of course, is talent. So what are the talents of these people, and are these talents needed in my team?
Of course. And especially talking about that motivation part, because it's the same in my teams, and especially at Eurobases, we really want to dive into people's whys. Why do they want to do something? Why do they want to go, especially when on candidates calls as well? Why is it that you want to move to this company? Why is it that you start an SAP, you want to get to this level? It's always about the whys, because that's always going to be in their head when they wake up in the morning and go to bed. It's going to be that, why do I want to do this? So I think getting that out of your team, getting that out of especially junior consultants that just coming through, is really important, because you don't want to be a company and doing a leadership piece where it's just follow me, do this, and not really know what their motivations are and why they want to do this. It doesn't really make sense. So no, I completely agree with that. And what you're saying with that. It's a really good piece.
I also have another question that I ask very frequently. This is, how do you approach questions that you don't know the answer for? I mean, we are in consulting, so we have lots of requirements that we don't have the answer yet. It's just not possible to know everything.
Of course.
So every time I meet somebody new, I always ask this question: how do you approach questions that you don't have the answer for? And there are hundreds of different answers. I think none of them are wrong, but you need to have at least one answer. That's very important.
No, of course. And you've, especially when on a customer project, you want to make sure that the customer feels safe and the customer has full trust in you. How is it that you would answer it? Let's say if I asked you a question that you didn't know the answer to, how is it you would answer that?
Meanwhile, I have a very, very large network of people, and I reach out to my network. I mean, we help each other, so that means a lot of people will help me as I helped them in the past. And if that doesn't work out, then, well, I'm a developer. I can find it out myself if it doesn't work. Takes a little bit more time, but in the end, it will work out.
Good answer. And good answer. And no, exactly. And especially showing your network and saying that I don't have the answer, but my network might, and if not, I'll find a way. Again, it puts trust from the customer, but because you're not lying about, let's say, an answer that you've just thought of on top of your head. It's an industry where you can get found out very quickly by doing that, and lose projects, lose trust. So no, I really like that answer. I think that is a really good one. So when it comes to sort of with your team and really putting your team and AI together, how is it that a team should prepare for an AI future?
I thought a lot about this question in the past.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, I was, okay, let's use AI to replace people, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work.
No.
Don't replace people with AI. That's
No.
not how it's meant to be. Instead, AI, I think there are two steps. The first step is AI will improve your way of working. It will improve a little bit how you work, and maybe even the speed how you can solve the challenges in your daily business. But that's only the first step. The second step, AI will enhance the way unimaginable, enhance the way you work with data and insights you have never thought about. I have a small story from my own life, or not my life, but the life of my wife. She is reading a lot and she enjoys reading, and she likes to read the books during the same season in which their stories are set.
Oh, nice.
So she uses the book, skims through the first few pages to get a sense of the setting and the time of the year, and of course this takes quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I developed a custom GPT for her. It took about 10 minutes. It's quite easy. For me, at least, it's quite easy, 10 minutes, a custom GPT. Now she was able to type in the title of the book, and now she gets the answer in which seasons she should read this book. Then I told her, hey, you don't have to type it in. You can take a picture of the book. Wow. That makes it a lot easier. Okay, great. Then I told her, hey, you can take a picture of multiple books in one picture. That was even better. And then the most brilliant use case was then that I changed the custom GPT and told the custom GPT to enhance the reading experience. So if you want to, this custom GPT tells you what drink to enjoy, in which setting to read the book, like in a restaurant or in a bar or in the park, and also to what look out for in the book. So you have some quite interesting learning afterwards. And that's something only in a small area, but think big. You can have this for the big problems in the very large companies out there. So you start working on an AI solution that makes things just easier, and later on you will have insights you've never thought about before, like in this example. And that's very, very amazing.
No, it is, and especially that it took 10 minutes. It is such a lovely thing to do as well. So she must be very lucky. But no.
Yeah, of course. For me, it was 10 minutes. Writing a prompt, that's it.
And it's crazy how in 10 minutes something like that can be done, where almost any book in the world, it'll be able to recognize and tell you the season, what to drink, the area you should read it in. It's crazy. It's crazy to even think about. And I'm quite a young person. I'm from sort of the more technical age as such. And even for me, it's like, wow, it is crazy. And especially, let's say, if you did something for an hour, 2 hours, what that could even look like. It really is. It really is. Wow, that's something special. How quickly that takes.
Yes.
So no, that's amazing about AI. One thing when talking about your career, and especially sort of what I wanted to go into, especially sort of your more recent moves and throughout your career, the movement in your career, how important has it been using not just a recruiter but the right recruiter?
I think for certain roles, especially at higher career levels, recruiters are needed.
Yeah.
I mean, some roles, especially in leadership career levels, those roles are not publicly available.
No.
You cannot search for them on the internet. It's
Cool.
just not there. So you need to find recruiters or recruiters that are searching for the right people, that search for the perfect fit. So that means you have interviews with the recruiters, and not only to find the right role for you, but also to find the right person for the company. And that's very important when working with recruiters, at least in my opinion. So I was also working with recruiters when searching for a new role. And it was very important for me to find these publicly not available roles, as these are the roles you definitely want to work in.
100%.
And for me, it worked out quite well, yes.
No, of course. And what is it that you look for when having a talent partner, not only within sort of internal in your company, but when throughout your career, your movements in your career? What is it that you really look for within a talent partner?
I think the right word for it is benevolent. I learned this word a few weeks ago. I use it a lot in German, but the English term was not very known for me, at least for now. So it's benevolent. That means we always try to find a win-win situation, and that means a win for the person who applies for a job, a win for the recruiter, and of course a win for the company that you apply for a role. And that's one of the most important topics for me, at least when working with recruiters.
Wow. No, it makes a lot of sense. The fact that you want someone who placing you means a lot to them, because they're not going to work as hard if firstly the recruiter's not getting rewarded for, and secondly if it's not going to do the right thing for the company and work for the company. I've been in the industry a number of years, and you see sort of some recruiters that don't really have that same mindset. They have the mindset of themselves and just sending across CVs, hoping something will land, and not really thinking about the impact that it has. It's one of the biggest things moving jobs, apart from moving house, getting a new car. I'd say changing jobs is a massive thing, and I think having a talent partner that not only understands that, but understands the need from the company, that what the right person can do for the company, and really seeing that long-term vision is a massive thing for them. I'm sure you agree. But that's really
yes,
where
definitely.
And
I like the term talent partner, which is a lot better than recruiter.
Of course. No, of course. And that's how really what we are now, in terms of you've got to work in partnership with the company, not really against them. There's so many cases of companies that I've spoke with that they're working with a recruiter that they just feel is against them and is just trying to see them as a way to make money, not a way that we can work together. And especially with the internal teams, there's been cases where there's fallouts between the internal teams because of they're not working together and they're working almost against each other. It's a lot of things companies worry about when finding a talent partner, is because of the scare of them replacing the internal team, when as a good talent partner, that'd never be anyone's wildest dreams. So no, that's great for on the recruitment piece. If you was to make one bold prediction about SAP supply chain in the next 5 years, what would that be?
I think within the next 5 years, we will see automated supply chains. And I think within another 5 or 10 years, we will even see autonomous supply chains. So that means AI at first will improve the speed
Yeah.
and the automation part of supply chain. And then, as in my example, later on, it will enhance the experience. So the supply chains will even become autonomous with insights you've never thought about yet.
No, that's pretty realistic in terms of talking about AI. That is a pretty, you can see that happening, and especially the supply chain moving more automated to start with, to work with the consultants working on it, and then from that completely AI robotic as such, working day in day out, hour by hour. So I can definitely see that and where you're coming from with that. So really, one thing, talking about your position and your career, I'm sure you've heard a lot of these, but what is one common misconception people have about your industry or the work you do?
That's something I hear quite often. I think most people don't even know what a consultant does for a living. What is that? What does a consultant do? For me, it is using my talents to provide value for the clients while leading a team for a successful project delivery. So I'm in delivery, I deliver projects, and consulting does also mean we have to run some consulting activities for the client, but in the end, you have to provide value for the client. And that's exactly what we do. We use our experience to provide value for the clients. And as I'm in a leadership role, I lead a team for a successful project delivery. That's what I do. And that's, at least for me, a common misconception that I have in my area here, in the people I'm surrounded with, at least in my private life.
Of course. And I can imagine, in terms of, especially with your experience, you've, as from people not in the industry, I can imagine you've heard some quite funny things about what they think a consultant actually does.
That's true. I mean, sometimes I hear the question, what exactly do you do for a living? And then I'm asking, how exactly do you really want to know it? Because describing it is not that easy.
Yeah, it's easy, and you can kind of get a glimpse of what you do. But yes, especially if someone not in the industry. When I was new to SAP, speaking to some of my peers and asking, what does a functional consultant actually do? What does a FICO consultant do? Things like that. It'd take a while, and it's something where you have to spend sort of nights researching when you first start up, and to know exactly what it is people consultants do. And also, I think the main thing when finding out was speaking to people and learning from sort of what their job is and what they're doing within their projects. So it's something you definitely hear a lot of different misconceptions, for sure. And so when coming back onto sort of your team, what do you think's more important, technical skills or the cultural fit?
I mean, you know that I take a lot of, or I have a look at the talents of the team. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, none of them is more important. I mean, if you have a talent in the technical area, you have a lot of technical skills, use this talent. But if not, learn more about the cultural fit. And
Yeah.
of course, find people that can support you in the other topic. So you don't stay there all alone without technical skills or without a cultural fit. If you can do both, that's fine, but then you have most likely other blind spots.
Yeah, that haven't yet been found out. No, No, really like the answer. That's really good. It weren't really either or. It's you need both for a successful team. What is true? And it bit of a off topic one, but if you could learn any new skill, that not it don't have to be in consulting or IT, but if there's any new skill you could learn, what would that be?
That's an interesting question. Actually, I enjoy the process of learning something new. So learning a new skill instantly would kill the joy a little bit for me. So whenever I feel motivated to learn something new, I enjoy the process of finding all the pieces of the puzzle in my head and to find the right places and so on. So I think I don't want to learn something instantly. I mean, right now I learn the Rust programming language, not that I need it for anything. It's just because I want to learn it and I want to learn more about it. It's just the joy I have of learning something new.
So you feel when getting a new talent and learning a new skill, it's the story that really comes with it, and the journey that takes you on is the most important thing. Is that going through that, challenging yourself.
Exactly. I like telling stories, and that's also how I lead people. So if you don't have experience in something, as you learn something instantly, so you don't have a journey behind, then you cannot tell a story.
No, of course. And just to finish up on, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
Work on your weaknesses to become average, and work on your talents to become extraordinary. And of course, judge people by their talents and not by their blind spots.
Perfect. Well, look, Tobias, thank you very much for your time. It's been great to learn more about yourself, your career, and I look forward to maybe someday in the future having a part two once the AI takeover really does start, and to see if some of them predictions were right.
Thanks for having me, Spencer. I'm
No
quite
problem.
happy to see that in the future.
No problem. Thank you very much.